What's going on, everyone? This is the Fantasy Aces podcast. I'm your host, Joe Bellacqua, and with me we got Sonny Chowdhury, Nate Halloran, and Mike Hendel. Guys, we got a loaded episode to talk about today. We're going to start off some fantasy takeaways from week 3. We're also going to be doing the waiver wire along with that, and then also we're going to be doing some start and six for week 4. And then we're going to have some mailbag questions that we have from our viewers. And if we have enough time, we're going to do fantasy streamers. Any of those guys that you see, popping up around the NFL. All right, guys, your takeaways from week 4 before we get into it. I know all of our teams lost across the board except for Nate. His team tied. So, Nate, how are you doing, man? How are you good with the Eagles tie?
I don't like a tie by any means. A tie doesn't get your team a win. I mean, it's better than a loss. But a tie is not okay in my book for an Eagles fan.
Especially against the Bengals, huh? I wouldn't put that in any regard.
There should have been at least – oh, my God. Carson Wentz, there should have been at least like 40 points scored against this team with what they had. But, it's okay. It's whatever.
Yeah, I can't blame you, man. My Falcons just blew 2 huge leads. But the memes are hilarious. If you check online, they're so funny. I love looking at all of them. Mike, how you doing, man?
That was rough. The Raiders could not hang on for dear life against the Patriots. That was rough. I feel like it could have gone. It was one of those games where it could have gone if one thing didn't happen and another thing would have happened. So I don't know. I don't feel too bad, but I'm happy we're 2-1.
Yeah,
I'll take 2-1.
That's true in the AFC West. Patriots are a tough defense. A lot of people doubt them going in, but they're definitely someone to look forward to. But Sonny, tough loss against the Lions, man. How do you feel about that?
I guess we saved Matt Patricia's job for maybe a few more weeks, but. It's a bit of a wake up call, I'd say. I think we were all getting a little cocky, looked a little sloppy on offense. If I learned anything, just keep throwing DeAndre Hopkins some wide open too many times. But Joe, let me ask you this: how badly did you want to see the Bills blow that 28-3 lead?
My friend bet $100 on the Rams to win. And he was going crazy. And then my other friend in the other room is a Bills fan. They were about to kill each other by the end of the game. It was insane.
That's crazy.
It was a great game.
To be fair, I don't know if that last call, I think the Rams actually had it in the bag. But I will say, it's kind of fair for week 1 when they got that call on Jalen Ramsey. So, it evens out. And I was happy to see them lose. So,
That's exactly what my friend said as a Bills fan. It evens out.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
All right, guys, news around the league. Chris Godwin can miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. Jordan Reed has a knee sprain. He's going on short-term IR. Tariq Cohen officially moved to IR with a knee problem. Nick Foles will start Sunday against the Colts, so that should be interesting to see. And only a minor knee sprain for Chris Carson, so that's good news for owners of Chris Carson. And the Tennessee Titans have 8 COVID cases in their total organization. We got to see how that goes. Might just be a delayed game with the Steelers and the Titans, but that's something you got to look at when you're setting your lineups to make sure that you have the right players in place. All right, guys, fantasy takeaways. We're going to lead it off with Nate. What are your fantasy takeaways from week 3, and, what are some potential waiver wire pickups that you like to add?
Okay, so the first one we'll start with is definitely Josh Allen. This kid can play. Unbelievable. He shredded that stigma and accounted for all 5 of the Bills' touchdowns, 4 passing and 1 rushing. They beat the Rams 35-32, which we thought the Rams were going to probably beat the Bills. At least some of us thought. At least I thought it was going to be a closer matchup as it was towards the end. But then Josh Allen threw for 311 yards, on just 33 attempts, which is absolutely insane. And there's talks of him being the MVP race. So whoever has him on the team, on your fantasy team at least, you better be thankful because he's averaging, I believe, just 31 points. Josh Allen is, which is absolutely insane.
It's crazy. He only has 1 interception, and he's doing that well, and he just completely blew up. in the first half.
Oh, it's
against
insane.
the Rams. He was questionable. We talked about this last episode. I saw there's a lot of passes that I was like, I don't know about why you're throwing it to that guy, but I really didn't see it against the Rams. You know, the only thing that was a problem was that Aaron Donald was just going after you every single play, and there's nothing you can do about that if your line can't block for you. So,
Right.
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know how he got rid of the ball at the very end too. Talk about a clutch play. I mean,
that was very clutch.
Yeah.
All right, Nate, I like that. I like that fantasy takeaway. Would you like to add a waiver wire pickup along with Josh Allen?
Yeah, sure. So this one's a little crazy. I had to think about this for a minute, but I looked at his stats and I saw how he beat Jacksonville on Thursday Night Football. What a way to pick up, if you need quarterback help, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, why not? Why not? Going back to week 7 of last year, Fitzpatrick actually scored 4th most fantasy points over that span. The only games Patrick, and that's just above him, is Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and Josh Allen. So you would think, there's other quarterbacks that could be ahead of him. No, just those 3.
Mm-hmm.
Over his last 5 games, Patrick scored at least 24 fantasy points in 4 of them. He plays the Seahawks, so I wanted to say, and I was like, well, do you want to pick up Patrick against, the red-hot Seahawks? But I was looking at this, and it said, yeah.
They may be red hot, but the Seahawks rank last in passing defense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Knowing at least their offense is hot, but knowing no quarterback has finished with less than 23.9 fantasy points against the Seahawks, it's not a bad idea to start Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has just been lighting up the field these past 3 weeks.
I agree.
Yeah, but we also got to remember, let me ask you this. Doesn't it just seem like that he's due for that one game where everyone's just counting on him and he just implodes?
That was week 1. He had it already. That was week 1.
Yeah, that was week 1. That was it. Yeah. Now, you know what he's doing?
I will say, though, I love what you said because the Seahawks do allow the most receptions and yards to pass catchers. And that's why I think Mike Gesicki will just blow up this week.
I agree with you. I'm gonna mention him later. I'll agree with you on that.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Mike, give me your your fantasy takeaway from week 3, and then also a waiver wire guy.
Guys, this made me very happy, but the best player in the NFL is back. He's getting the touches he deserves. Nate, who am I talking about?
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. He's getting the touches. No, I was looking this up. Last week, he had 3 times the amount of touches as all the other running backs on his team combined. It's his show now. He's obviously the best player on their team, the division, the league. I'm excited for Lions games. I'm going to tune in to Lions games to watch Adrian Peterson. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, but Mike, that should be interesting against the Saints defense. They cannot stop Josh Jacobs. I remember when they played against Las Vegas. So I'm interested to see what Adrian Peterson can do to that defense.
Well, he'll be running hard too. He was on the Saints and it did not go well.
No, that's true. That's true. I don't think he mixed well with Sean Payton. To be honest with you.
No. So I'm so happy that he's
didn't fit his
getting
scheme,
the touches
at all.
All right, and a waiver wire pickup that you would like to mention for week 3.
Yeah, all right. Here's an anti-pickup. Do not go get Rex Burkhead. Just don't do it. I know he had
with you.
I know he had a crazy amount of points against the Raiders, but I mean, you cannot trust Patriots running backs. You just can't. Go back in history. You pick up one and then the other gets 20 points. It just there's no. I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't pick him up. I wouldn't go near him. Let someone else deal with that.
I would say I thought I felt that way, but here's the thing. I mean, I don't know what James White's situation is. First off, prayers to him and his family. But they got the Chiefs, and you're not going to be running the ball with Sony Michel. In a shootout, and you got Rex Burkhead. I just see a lot of passing for Cam Newton. And just for 1 week, I could see Rex Burkhead just one more time having another week. But, I mean, if I had to pick and I had depth, I would rather pick up Damian Harris than Rex Burkhead. But I think just one more week, I think I'd be able to throw him in there as a flex against the Chiefs.
I'll make a bet with you. He gets less than 10 points.
Wow.
Let's make a bet. Let's do it. I'm in.
I'm confused about is the Patriots win mostly every week, and then I look at their wide receivers' fantasy points, and I'm like, You all have under 10 points. Who's the ball going to? And I mean, I just don't get it. But the
Yeah.
Patriots just love spreading it around, and like different people get fantasy points each week. It's so hard. Yeah, Mike.
Speaking of Patriots, N'Keal Harry had
Yeah.
12 targets against the Seahawks, and now they're going against the Chiefs, a better
Oh.
offense. I'm big into N'Keal Harry too. I think if he's out
Right.
there on your waiver wire, he's probably not.
Uh,
But if he is on your bench, I would consider making some room with the starters.
Here's my problem with him. Just on a dynasty perspective, put him in this week. Did nothing. Forgot to put him in 2 weeks ago. Did something. He is so hard to decide if you want to play him or not. I hope you're right because I need him really bad in my dynasty. So I really hope you're
Well,
right on
against
that.
this week, especially
Yeah.
against the Chiefs, like
Yeah,
they're going to
that's
need
true.
to score.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that game, I mean, I looked at the schedule, and that might be the only game that I'm really looking forward to on this slate of games.
Really?
I mean, we had a really good week. But, well, let's hear. What are you?
You're not
excited
looking
for?
forward to Bengals Jaguars?
Okay, no,
Really?
I take that away. That is a strong number 2. I was
You're
wrong.
not-
I was wrong.
You're not looking forward to the Falcons putting up 30 points in the first half and then
And then
losing
just-
again
hey,
in Green Bay? Who doesn't want to see
I'll
that?
say it
stuff?
never gets old. It never gets old. I can watch that all day.
That is true. All right, Sonny, give me your fancy takeaway and waiver wire for week 4.
Well, I mean, you guys heard me preaching, about the whole Kyler Murray MVP last week, and I want to stay biased. I'm still rooting for him, but Russell Wilson,
Yeah.
he's cooking. They're letting him cook. Mr. Unlimited has like the record now for most touchdowns in 3 weeks, and when you got all those weapons, like I don't see him slowing down too much. I mean, the defense is only getting worse with like Jamal Adams now being banged up. We saw KJ Wright tear his ACL. It's still a bad defense, and now with Chris Carson being hurt, that just means more passing attempts for Russell Wilson. But that brings me actually to the waiver wire pickup. I'm actually big on Carlos Hyde, and I know that there was like rumors that maybe Chris Carson comes back this week, but I mean, if you guys saw that video, like his knee was twisted pretty bad, and I mean, they got the bye week coming up in a few weeks, and they got some easy matchups where they might just rest him for 3-4 weeks and just let Hyde take control. And the other thing about Carlos Hyde is, we've seen him be a workhorse back, so I'm not like worried if he can handle the load. I'm pretty confident that he can handle the load. And I think he's just, I think he could have some good short-term value, and maybe he carves out a bigger role for the rest of the season if he, lived up to his expectations. So, Carlos Hyde, I like.
That's definitely a good addition. That's good that the Seahawks added him. They did have that doubt. There's probably, all right, Chris Carson might get hurt sometime in the season, and he did, and that's why they picked up Hyde to, add that running back. So, yeah, no, I like that addition. My takeaway, we talked about a couple episodes ago here and there, Allen Lazard, he showed up, man. He filled Devontae Adams' shoes. He had 6 receptions, 146 yards, touchdown, 18.2 yards a target. Every time I saw him catch the ball, literally knocked the dude over, gained those extra yards, got the first down. That's what I love to see. I think he's definitely got Aaron Rodgers' trust. I don't know how it's going to work once Devontae Adams gets back into it. He's probably not going to have like a 25-point game, but he can be consistently like around 10 points each game. So he's definitely a takeaway for me. And then, you know what? Just watching him, maybe if he's on a waiver wire, T. Higgins. The guy had 2 touchdowns. He's getting a lot of red zone volume. AJ Green's just not doing it right now. He's not being utilized in the red zone. He's not getting the targets he needs. Right now it's Tyler Boyd, and now the offense is saying, oh, why don't we add T. Higgins? He's younger, he's tall, physical. He's not going to get banged up that much because he's, younger and healthier. So I want to see what T. Higgins can do on the Bengals. Really loved what he did against the Eagles. So we'll see how that plays out. Are there any other waiver wires that you guys want to mention before we get into the next topic? Mike first.
Okay. Joe Burrow.
Right.
They go up against Jacksonville, which I mentioned earlier. Jacksonville gave up 28 points to Ryan Fitzpatrick and 34 to Ryan Tannehill. Those are yes, please. If you are unconfident or your team is playing against Baltimore or or somebody good, just pick up Joe Burrow, put him in, take him out. Little nice trip there for him.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Joe Burrow actually has more points in 3 weeks than Lamar Jackson.
Does he really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I do not have the information in front of me, but that is
Yeah.
insane. Wow. And props to him, man. Didn't he get banged up like really hard on one play?
Oh, he took
this
a
past week?
massive hit. Yeah, he took a massive hit. I mean, his head just rocked. But,
No, that's props to the Eagles, man. There you go, Nate. That's something right you guys did there in that time.
Oh, Lamar Jackson's low on this list of total points. I'm looking at him. He's got 65 on this one PPR list, and yeah, Joe Burrow's got 70. So
Wow.
there are a lot of people above Lamar Jackson. Ooh, that
He did
quarterback.
he did bad against the
He's looking
Chiefs.
like
He
a
did-
quarterback minus, right, Nate?
No more plus. Dang it. I actually had one more waiver wire pickup that I was watching that I thought was pretty
Right.
interesting. And correct me if I'm wrong pronouncing his name.
Uh-oh.
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk. Okay. Yeah. So watching him, I know they played against a depleted Giants team, but he brought in like 5 of 8 targets for 70 yards while adding 31 on the ground.
He did, yeah.
During the 36-9 victory against, again, the depleted Giants. But he should be busy against my Philadelphia Eagles, who struggle to defend easy players to cover. Now, I'm not saying Brandon Ayuk is easy to cover, but since he isn't, he's going to have himself a field day, in my opinion, a strong opinion. I've seen the Eagles defense, and against people, or at least players who are quick and fast and heavy hitting, they struggle so badly with. So if he's like on your waiver wire, he should be worth an ad, at least to be looked at.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, the rushing yards that he had. I love Kyle Shanahan. It's like, all right, Mostert's out. We're going to use one of our wide receivers in the rushing game. I love how he thinks. It's absolutely insane. All right, Sonny, what's your waiver wire that you want to mention?
Yeah, so I actually want to touch up on a few things. So, we talked about everyone, but just like a few orders that I want to talk about. Myles Gaskin, first off, someone that we didn't mention. He would actually be my number one pickup if he's still available. Just like we saw the touch that he got, he's going to get it every week. And, he solidified himself as a starter for all season long. And then number 2, I said Carlos Hyde. For 1 week, I would feel comfortable rolling out Jeff Wilson again. And Nate, I know you called that one too, so props to you. But, we saw the injuries and everything. I don't see Mostert or McKinnon playing this week, but, we'll see what happens. But he's the healthiest in the backfield right now. And then Brandon Ayuk, I would say, would probably be my number one pickup at wide receiver, just the safe rushing floor and all the injuries they have to the backfield. He can also play running back and receiver. Number 2, we want to talk about Justin Jefferson, who finally broke out. Yeah, you guys, that's what I'm saying. He finally.
We just kind of disregarded him, and I think for me is that I don't know if Kirk Cousins can produce that way to Justin Jefferson every week.
And I'm glad you said that. That's the main reason I would lean Ayuk over Justin Jefferson, because a lot of people saw that game, saw that box score. They want the new shiny object. But I mean, do you trust Shanahan's offense, or do you trust Cousins and Gary Kubiak to what I mean? So that's kind of a tiebreaker. But then other guys, we should mention are Greg Ward. Your Eagles. He sees plenty of targets, and with all the injuries to Goddard and Djax, and then Alshon coming back, that's another guy that you want to keep your eyes on. And also, lastly, Andy Isabella of my Cardinals. He looks good every time he's out there. I think he's about to pass Christian Kirk if he hasn't already. And we've seen, DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. What if he takes that Will Fuller role and, stretches the field? So those are some guys to keep an eye on.
All right, I like your whole list. I'm glad you mentioned all those guys because I picked them up in my dynasty team after I lost Sutton and Saquon. And I went Wilson, Ayuk. I drafted Ayuk, and then I also have Greg Ward on my team. So all those three guys I'm going to bump up, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Jimmy Graham is only owned in 10% of leagues. Jimmy Graham, and
he destroyed the.
And
Falcons.
Nick Foles is coming in. I think Jimmy Graham is could come away as a top 12 tight end eventually.
Top 12.
Absolutely.
So do you guys all rank Jimmy Graham as the number one tight end on the waivers, would you guys say? Or is there someone else you guys want to talk about?
Well, who is
nah.
Mo Cox or whatever from the Colts?
Mo Alley Cox,
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I like him.
He
This
did
I like
good.
guy-
He mentioned him.
This guy
He's
did pretty
fourth in the league
damn
in
good.
receiving yards for
Is
tight
he
end.
really?
Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Who is
He's
this person?
huge too. Have you guys? That dude is massive.
I
I
know.
don't know.
We actually didn't mention him as a waiver wire last week, and he showed up, and I think he's going to
Yeah.
show up more as the weeks go on because Doyle's not really recovering from this injury right now. He just keeps being out. I don't know what's going to happen with him.
I mean,
You
even
know.
when he's out there healthy, it's like, like what are you really getting out of him? But I was
Yeah,
gonna say, like, I like Cox. Dalton Schultz is another guy that I like. But I would feel actually for this week, especially if Deontay Johnson doesn't play, I'd probably go with Eric Ebron just because their matchup against the Titans.
Mhm.
Titans have given up a touchdown to a tight end every week so far this season.
Yeah.
And Big Ben's thrown multiple touchdowns in every game. So especially if Deontay doesn't play, I can see Ebron at least getting a touchdown or at least having a big day through the air. So
Yeah,
that would be
I
my
think-
guy for this week.
I agree. All right, guys, we're gonna get to some week 4 starts, and then if we got some time, we could list a couple sits of guys that you really don't want starting in the next week. All right, we're gonna start off with Sonny. List your starting lineup that you like for week 4.
All right, so going back to Ben Roethlisberger, again, hopefully, the game, I heard rumors that they could be playing on Monday night. So I'm going with Ben Roethlisberger, but, I really want to say Deshaun Watson, but it just seems too obvious. If you have Deshaun Watson, start him. If someone wants to move on from him, buy him low because he's going to go off. But either way, Big Ben, he's thrown multiple touchdown passes, in every game so far. And the Titans let Kirk Cousins and Gardner Minshew both throw 3 touchdowns back-to-back weeks. So, we can see a big game from Ben Roethlisberger. Start of the week at running back is actually a guy that I was rooting for is Darrell Henderson of the Rams.
Yep.
So there was a lot of talk in the offseason actually that he was their starting running back, and he was drafted in the 3rd round that people, saw as the replacement to Todd Gurley. And, this dude was like a beast in college, and he looks like the best running back in the backfield. So I already think he's the best running back in their backfield. And with McVay's hot hand approach, he's had over 100 yards and a touchdown in the last 2 weeks when he had full control of the backfield. The Giants have given up over 100 scrimmage yards to running backs every week, so you always want to target running backs going against them. And then at wide receiver, Will Fuller, you just got to take a deep breath, and like when you put him in your lineup. But if he's healthy, I'm starting him. I know he had that one game where he had the hurt hammy, where he got 0 catches for 0 yards. But again, he was injured. But then the week after, he bounced back with 54 yards and a touchdown against the tough Steelers defense. And, it should be a shootout, the Vikings and Texans, because they both got bad defenses. So I see a lot of points. Fuller just needs that one deep shot, and he can make your week. So I feel comfortable rolling Fuller out there. And then we touched on earlier, Mike Gesicki. That has to be the starting tight end of the week. He's a top 5, top 3 potential this week. You touched on Seattle's given up the most yards and receptions to pass catchers, and Gesicki is basically a big receiver. That's what he is. Yeah. He leads the team in targets and yards, so he should have a big day. And then defense, we're going back with the Rams, going up against Daniel Jones and the weak, Giants offense. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, bad O-line, turnover-prone quarterback, lots of points for that defense.
I agree with you, and I love your tight end because I'm about to mention him later. But yeah, no, that's a great starting lineup. I love that you added Darnell Henderson, 5.7 yards per attempt. He had 20 attempts, 114 yards, and a touchdown, against the Bills. So that was really huge. So yeah, I like that lineup. All right, Mike, give me your week 4 starting lineup.
All right, well, I'm going Lamar Jackson because I don't think that he's going to get shut down 2 weeks in a row. And then they're going against Washington. DMV rivalry. They gave up a crazy amount of points to Kyler Murray. So going him. I'm going Alvin Kamara against Detroit because they're leaning on Alvin Kamara more and more and more each week. Aside from that, I love this James Robinson guy.
Yep.
I think he's been getting better and better and better on Jacksonville, and he's good. Undrafted, and he's good.
He's like a bullet.
And they're going against the Bengals.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree with that.
I'm going low ball on a lot of these guys. I'm going Alan Lazard too.
Oh,
But both of these guys are low. But I think,
Alan
mean-
Lazard can destroy the Falcons.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
He's
I'm
gonna destroy it.
like,
So you guys
yeah.
are starting him even if Devontae Adams gets back, I'm guessing?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no,
against
no,
the
I probably
secondary,
wouldn't. If Adams comes back, I don't think he'll get the amount of snaps that he normally would get anyway. And there's no reason to. The other guys are playing good too, so I would just
Yeah, I
treat
agree
that
with
one.
But you're starting Devontae Adams if he plays, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have to
Okay,
because you'll look
okay,
like
yeah.
an idiot. If
We
Yeah,
are
no,
over.
I agree. Imagine him getting 40 again on your bench, you know.
We're
Nothing
giving
worse
too
than
much
that.
respect to the Falcons secondary. Like both these guys can put 300 yards on the Falcons secondary right now. All right.
Yeah, Joe's
I
like,
mean,
wait a
it's
second.
just-
Remember,
What do you got?
Joe's like, wait a second. Wait a minute.
I'm
There's
gonna
a fourth
start the
quarter,
fourth-
remember?
Hey, everybody eats.
I'm
Everybody
going to start
eats.
Jordan Love against the Falcons right now. All right, it's pretty bad there. Any more? Do you have a tight end, Mike? Or
yeah, all right. So I'm going Darren Waller because he's not going to get shut out like he did against New England. Buffalo gives up.
I'm pretty pissed about that, Mike. That he got nothing.
Buffalo gives up the 10th most points to tight ends.
I
I just do not think I can't imagine the second best player in the NFL not getting shut out
Wow.
2
Wow.
weeks in a row.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
son, you have to be used to him flexing on the Raiders. You gotta be used to it.
Well, see, the other thing we got to remember, though, about the Bills, so they got their two linebackers back, Matt Milano and Edmonds, you know. So they held Higbee to check, but then the week before they didn't have their linebackers. So that's something to remember, too, you know. Maybe the linebackers have something to do with the tight end matchups.
That could be possible. Yeah.
But I mean,
Higbee,
you're never benching Darren Waller, obviously. So don't even, don't hear what I'm not saying, but
And
just something
then-
to take note of.
And then for defense, just whoever's playing the Jets this week. It's
Yeah.
Denver. You could watch it on
Yep.
Thursday Night Football. You get to watch just whoever's playing the
And
Jets.
all
Right.
the New York teams. If you're playing a New York team, just start them.
Yeah,
Start
yeah,
the defense.
either
Yeah.
one of them.
I agree with you there. All right. I'll just list my starting lineup pretty quickly. QB, Josh Allen. Like, Nate mentioned. I mean, I think this guy's going to get 20, 30 points. He might get a couple rushing touchdowns against Las Vegas. I'm sorry, but I really think he's going to do well in the red zone, especially with running the ball. And, Mike just mentioned, but James Robinson. I'm about to get this guy's jersey. Like, I just love him for some reason. I don't know why, but he put up 30 points for me, and I was so happy. It's a good start for the week in fantasy when the guy
Good
puts
matchup.
up 30 points for you. And wide receiver-wise, I'm probably going to go – I hope he blooms, but Kenny Galladay. People are kind of just, he just got back into it. I think he's going to ease his way back in against the Saints. I don't think the Saints secondary is that good because, Alan Lazard did do well, but I think the Saints won't be able to hold him down, Kenny Galladay. So I'm starting him with wide receiver. And like you mentioned, Sonny Gesicki, I think the guy's going to go crazy. Jamal Adams, he blitzes. He really doesn't go in coverage to cover the tight end. So I think Gesicki's going to have a field day. And then for defense, I'm going the Buccaneers. Great job. They had 18 points last week, 2 interceptions, 6 sacks, a forced fumble. The last 2 games, they had over 10 points in fantasy for defense, so that's pretty huge. And I don't trust Herbert on the Chargers, throwing the other way. So that is going to be my starting lineup. Nate, your week 4 starting lineup, give it to us.
Yeah, mine's definitely different than everyone else's, but it's interesting. So I'm going to
Right.
go back to, again, my man, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I love him. I honestly, this guy, no one talks about him because they're worried about Lamar, Patrick. Again, like I said before, Patrick actually scored 4th most fantasy points. Like, I still try to wrap my head around that. That is insane. And the Seahawks that, knowing no quarterback has ever finished with less than 23 points against the Seahawks is pretty scary. Like, if you don't have if Fitzpatrick isn't starting for you, like, that's just amazing. He would be my quarterback. Going to running back, I'm going to go Darrell Henderson. He did really solid for me as my running back too. He's a low-end RB1, but he's definitely a solid RB2. I had Nick Chubb in front. So it was a pretty good comparison for them too. He had over 80 yards rushing in back-to-back weeks, as well as rushing touchdowns. So he's a solid RB2, and he plays against the Giants, a 23rd ranked fantasy defense, running back defense. So that's pretty bad. Bad news for the Giants. Wide receiver, I'm going to go to this guy named Justin Jefferson, who had such a spectacular week. He stepped up to the plate, playing 78% of the team snaps. Jefferson went off for 175, 1 and 9 targets, all the team high on the day. And he might be slipping into the Stephon Diggs role. I know I talked about in other podcasts that could be Adam Thielen's job, which Adam Thielen is doing pretty well, if I could say for myself. But if Justin Jefferson, keeps it going, he reminds me of a younger Deshaun Jackson with his speed, bigger in height, bigger in the height. Yeah, big, definitely bigger than the height, but that's what the advantage he has. He reminds me of a younger Deshaun Jackson, but bigger, definitely bigger, and can catch deep balls. So for tight end, I'm doing Mike Gesicki. I took him. I like
3.
him.
I hope he does well. That's 3 Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, like Sonny was saying, receptions. Ryan Fitzpatrick's on his team. Ryan Fitzpatrick likes stolen. He's kind of like a Tom Brady, but more mobile. He likes using all of his weapons. So having Ryan Fitzpatrick and Gesicki on my starting lineup.
Nate, what I'm hearing is you're not an Eagles fan anymore. You're becoming a Miami Dolphins fan. That's what I'm getting out of it.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but I feel like that's good. I feel like that's good for right now.
Well, Nate,
that's good, man. Take it, all right?
Speaking of the Eagles, you guys could have gotten Justin Jefferson. How do you feel about that one?
Who was our general manager? Howie Roseman, the guy who I think we had 2 of our 2019 or 2018 draft picks play. Yeah, he's really bad at drafting, so it's every year the draft comes
but the Jalen Hurts could come in nicely, Who knows about that one?
Oh, that's just a whole nother story. I mean, people are like, throw him in. I'm like, don't throw him in. Look how bad our coaching is. So
all right, Nate, you got a defense you want to start?
Yeah. Mike said it for me. The Broncos, they're playing the Jets. I mean, you could start my high school football team's defense, and they would dominate. Wow. The Jets are just on a scale from 1 to 10 on panic button. I would go a 10. It's just so bad. Their coaching's a mess. Their organization's a mess. Yeah. Their offense is a disaster. It looks like Sam Darnold is regressing.
They need Rex Ryan back. They really do. They need Rex Ryan.
Yeah, they need some. They need real assertive in that locker room. They need somebody that can take that team, because Adam Gase is just I don't think he's going to be there for much longer. So
could be last week. Honestly.
Yeah, Broncos would be for me. Honestly, any team that plays the Jets.
Great Thursday night matchup. Both.
Well, couldn't you make a case that you could start both defenses too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait, is the Rippin the guy that's starting for the Broncos? Yep. Is he the son of the Redskins quarterback who won the Super Bowl?
Are we talking about not
Rippin?
Right. That's a good question. I do not know.
Yeah. They have the same name. I don't know.
Yeah. I actually heard about that. Yep.
Would you guys start any Broncos?
I'm gonna look that up
on Thursday.
Any night? Broncos?
I'm Melvin Gordon and Noah Fant. I could feel good about starting.
Okay, those 2 guys. Yeah, it's just someone's gonna do something, but I just don't.
Hey, what about Berrios? Anyone?
Yeah, he's low on the waiver wire, but the man's put up more than 10 fantasy points the past 2 weeks. I was looking at him in my dynasty league, and I think I could get him for a cheap value because he's just all the way down on the list. People are lazy; they don't like to scroll. So.
Yeah, I mean, even a fab bidding, I don't even know if I'd spend $1 on him. I mean, I'd personally let him sit there, but he's worth someone to talk about. He's been putting up numbers. I'm just not gonna be one of those guys, but I could see a case for him.
I agree. All right, guys, it is mailbag time. It's time for some questions, and to our viewers out there, if you want to ask questions, go to Discord and you can go on Inside the Hashes and on that link below, and you guys can put any questions that you need, and we'll answer them on the show. So that's something that you guys can definitely do. All right, so first question that we did get through the Discord app: should I give up on Joe Mixon? All right, so Joe Mixon, the past 3 weeks, and I'm looking at his fantasy points. he did not go over 10 points, and this probably might be an irregular, but he did not do that well. His average yards per carry in the past 2 games have been 2.9. He hasn't reached over 100 yards. It seems that Giovanni Bernard actually did something this past week and not Joe Mixon. So I'm going to start off with Mike. To this viewer, should he give up on Joe Mixon? Should he trade him? Should he do something with him?
Yeah, just cut him. I mean, they're going to regret giving him that contract. He shouldn't even be in the NFL for morality reasons. So
Wow.
I
Yeah.
have just be done with Mixon.
All right, straight out there. All right, Sonny, what do you think with Joe Mixon?
I'm gonna hold on to him, just because you got to remember I actually had him last year, and I mean he had a really slow start last year and didn't start picking it up till the second half of the season. And I think with like T. Higgins emerging and Boyd doing well and just the pass catchers opening up, there could be some running lanes for Mixon. And if he doesn't produce this week, then I'd start worrying. But I think he's in for a big day.
Yeah, I agree with him. I would just hold him on for this week alone just to get his value up because he's playing against.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, like I'm open to selling almost anyone. At least wait another week where his value gets higher. So that was another good one to
because
bring up.
Right now at this moment, if you try to trade him, the guy is going to be like, "No, I don't want him right now." I think his value has to get a little bit higher. So yeah, I agree with you, Nate. What do you feel on it?
Yeah, I don't think we can forget. I mean, in my opinion, I have him in another league, and he's making me even madder by the week. Angrier. Madder's not really a word, but angrier. This is a difficult decision, but we have to remember Joe Mixon's offensive line isn't good. The Bengals' offensive line is not good whatsoever. I mean, they did pretty swell against the Eagles, but that's again the Philadelphia Eagles. I would hold on to him. I would hold on to him for at least another week or two, just to take a look to see if they can, give him more of the snaps. I think they realize that Joe Mixon needs more of the carries. Giovanni Bernard, he's still showing what he's got. He wants to be that running back one. So I'm not a fan of Joe Mixon, of his past, but I try to look over that and try to look into the football perspective of what he can and can't do. So I would hold on to him for at least another week or two. And because the average, what you just told me about his average yards per carry is just very disgusting.
It's kind of awful. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. So again, if he can't do anything, I would get out.
I agree with you. The other mailbag question that we have is, should I quit on DJ Moore? DJ Moore, he was a 4th-round value pick, and, people expected a lot of things from him. When you look at his stats from just last week, 2 receptions off 4 targets, 65 yards, but he had 0 touchdowns. He's had 0 touchdowns this entire season. That's not something that I like to look at. And 2 out of his 3 games are under 10 points. Like, this is something you really don't want out of a guy that's, 4th-round value. We'll start out with Nate this time. Should you give up on him? Should you trade him?
I would look for a trade. Wide receivers, in my opinion, are a bigger issue to get going than a running back. I feel like with a running back, you can set them up for success easier than a wide receiver. The matchup isn't as hard as wide receiver. If DJ Moore, is put on like a, let's say Richard Sherman, or let's say Jalen Ramsey, like he's put on the number 1 corners, and you said he had 0 touchdowns, which is a big issue.
And the thing though is they did play against the Chargers, and they have an exceptional secondary, so I can see why he only had 4 targets in that game.
Right.
But I think Robbie Anderson's just stealing the show. And now you have Mike Davis, who got, most of the share volume in the game. Mike Davis, replacing Christian McCaffrey. So it's a hard one. It's definitely a hard one. But yeah, I might have to agree with you to try to trade him because I just don't see it. Sonny, how do you feel on? Oh, sorry.
No. I was just totally agreeing with you. It's just his fantasy. Anybody who picked up on fantasy is probably very disappointed.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sonny, how do you feel about DJ Moore?
So I actually went into the offseason, one of those big DJ Moore believers. And I'm maybe not as high, but I'm still on it because you got to remember that the Carolina Panthers can't stop anyone. One of the worst defenses in the league. And I think DJ Moore is clearly the alpha receiver in that offense. And with a short offseason, still getting used to Teddy Bridgewater, I see him just skyrocketing in the second half. So I'm still encouraged by him. And he's definitely someone that I would be buying low on because I think he's about to explode once they get the connection better.
Yeah. All right. There's both sides to it. And I can see your point because he's got to break out at some point. I mean, he's just too talented. And I feel you on that aspect, but it's rough. But, I mean, it's also rough with the Panthers defense. He could bloom in one of those shootouts.
Yeah, and then another thing, you mentioned the touchdown. He's never been a touchdown guy, so I still don't really expect that to go up. I'm just hoping for more yards and more receptions. Yeah. And I'd actually be selling Robbie Anderson high if there are, there's a lot of them out there. So I'd be selling Robbie Anderson high, and I'd be buying DJ Moore low.
You feel like the pace could definitely change throughout the year?
I do. I think it'll start shifting over to DJ Moore as things get better.
All right, I hope you're right. All right, Mike, what would you do with DJ Moore?
I feel the exact opposite. I liked Robbie Anderson more coming into the season. I thought he was on, in non-fantasy, but NFL free agency, he was the hot ticket wide receiver, and they snapped up on him and paid him a lot of money to do what he's doing. He's very familiar with the new offense. Teddy Bridgewater is there who, knows and trusts, both veteran guys. I like Robbie Anderson, and if you're selling him high, I'll bargain you down to medium.
Hey, let's do another bet. Rest of season, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson.
Ooh, what team is DJ Moore playing for?
What was that?
If DJ Moore gets traded, he might put up more numbers.
He's not getting traded. Are you kidding me?
Yes, but
all right, so we'll throw that in there. Fine. If he gets traded,
we have two. What are these two bets? Nate, write these down.
I totally forgot. I totally forgot the first bet.
I got it. What's the first? What was the first one?
He's got the pen out.
So we got to be clear. Is this all PPR, right? I'm guessing all PPR formats. 10
sure,
points.
Whatever you want. Yeah. I'll give you that.
All right. Sure.
Something about Adrian Peterson, right? No, was that not?
No, it's Rex Burkhead 10. What was it? The over under
10,
on 10?
Yeah, 10. 10 for Burkhead.
And then DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson.
I'm going to lose that one. And then the Robbie Anderson more than DJ Moore, I'm going to win that one by a lot.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see about that. I feel good.
Robbie Anderson is. So you're saying Robbie Anderson better than DJ Moore at the end of the season?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Nate,
I'll probably lose on the Burkhead one, but
I don't know. I'm telling you right now, I feel great about the bets. I'll take this. Why can we be in a league together? Because I drafted DJ Moore everywhere. And if I picked up Robbie Anderson off the waivers, I would 100% make a swap with you if you had DJ Moore.
I would do that immediately.
All right, Nate, submit these into DraftKings. A lot of people will be betting on these for a week.
I had them all written down.
We get a scoreboard every week. I'm about to get a DJ Moore jersey. Honestly,
I love it. We're gonna get the poster board, board with
it's
the margins.
Head just hanging right here. Every time I'm podcasting, you just see DJ Moore. Yeah, we're doing it.
Right.
You like that kind of thing? That's fine.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is it for the Fantasy Aces podcast. You can check us out on our website, InsideTheHashes.com. You can also listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, and also look at our website and listen to our other podcasts, RPO and the Air It Out podcast. You can also follow our Twitter handle, Inside the Hashes, and make sure to get involved in Discord. We love answering these mailbag questions. They're pretty interesting. As you can see, we're forming bets already on them. And you know what? That's pretty much it. Have a great night. Enjoy week 4. And we will see you next week at 7 p.m. And I'll see you guys later. And thanks for listening to Inside the Hashes. Have a good night.
Peace.
This is an interesting.